Okay, I think we are live.
Yay! Welcome back.
Say something, John.
Hello.
Okay, so it's yet another Saturday. No, it's not Saturday. It's Sunday, right?
Sunday.
Yeah. I've been so busy, I lost track of time. But in any case, it's another Sunday. This is our 23rd session of Game Dev Chat.
Wow.
Yeah, 23rd already.
The weeks
And
fly by.
yeah, and every week we show each other what we've done over the week, and yeah. So how goes your week, John?
Yeah. This week was spent refactoring a bunch of stuff in my GBA project. Yeah, so I don't really have a lot to show.
It's okay. Me neither.
But let's see what we had last week. So last week we had this, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, it sounded.
What happened
turn
to
off the
the?
wrong thing? I turned off the wrong thing.
Let me pause the background music. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So last week we had this, where I was playing the music in the background music in kind of a way where I specify the notes, and I'm just saying play these notes at after every few frames.
Right.
So like these numbers here are sort of like some factor. It's like how long the note should be, and then I multiply this by some number here. I say that number times this 6 here. So if I say 4, the note should be 4/8 long. Then 4 times 6 gives me 24. I'll play that note for 24 frames.
Right.
So it's kind of a simple way of multiplying music.
What?
It's almost MIDI like.
What's the name of this song?
Korobeniki.
Korobeniki. What language is
Yeah,
that?
it's a classic. It's Russian, I think.
Russian.
It's the classic Tetris song, Korobeniki.
Right. I was thinking. Oh, that sounded almost like Japanese.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does. Yeah, it's Russian, I think.
Right.
So anyway,
I constantly refer to it as the Tetris song.
yeah, I think everyone does.
Everyone does
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's a classic Russian folk song or something like that. But anyway, so the music format I have here right now is almost MIDI-like. It lacks a lot of MIDI-like stuff. Like MIDI allows you to control the volume and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this will work for now.
Okay.
So I said this week I would want to do something different about the audio. I cleaned up a bunch of the audio stuff. Last week the code to set the audio was just a whole bunch of numbers. This week I added refactored a bit of stuff so that I can say stuff like where is it? So I can say stuff like enable the left channel, enable the right channel, set the volume, enable sound 1, sound 4. Sound 4 is a noise generator, sound 1 is a square wave generator.
Okay.
I'll say left and right volumes are set and 7. So it's a lot more readable. Still not entirely readable, but at least it's better. It's easier for me to make changes.
Right.
Anyway, then I was thinking, maybe it would be nice to be able to put some wave data, like your raw, your wave data in the game rather than just playing notes generated by some square waves and stuff. So let me do something. So let me just show you my sound test. And, this is the first thing I tried doing.
Right. Sorry. So what were you testing again? Wave file, right?
Yeah, wave file data.
Okay.
Which is why, I had so apparently, like doing wave data requires. one way of doing the wave data is to set up some kind of a DMA transfer. DMA stands for direct memory access.
Okay.
So the GBA provides you with two sound channels that are meant for you to write audio samples in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you can define like how fast it should read the audio samples and all that. So, but basically, DMA, direct memory access, allows a system to transfer memory from copy memory from one location to another location without getting the CPU involved.
Okay.
Right? So, like
So it's fast.
your regular, yeah, so it's fast. Like your regular mem copy requires the CPU to say to reach to location A, then copy it to location B, and do that many times.
Mm.
With DMA, there's like some subsystem that does this automatically without really involving the CPU. Your code doesn't really your code doesn't spend time copying the data across.
Right.
So I specify, I specify like my data, my banjo kazooie. Is data is in this format, which is what I output from FFmpeg. I took the audio file, the MP3 file, told FFmpeg to output a whole bunch of just the audio samples themselves at a frequency of 16K in this case.
Right.
16 kilohertz sampling rate.
How
and
many?
Then I passed it.
How many bytes per sample, by the way?
So in this case, I'm using 8 bits, so 1 byte for every sample.
Okay.
So normally when you export from Audacity, you can say they let you export 16-bit or 32-bit wave files. Unfortunately, Audacity doesn't give you the option to output like 8-bit wave data.
Right.
So I relied on FFmpeg to output the raw data, so without all the wave file headers and all that kind of stuff. And then use the XXD, which is a Unix tool, to just output the C header, and then I just modify it for my needs.
Okay.
It's needed by, you can see XXD. I can just do a random script, and then I just pass in a parameter that says output the header file. As you can see on my screen.
Yeah.
It's very useful. But anyway. So yeah, Unix tools, yeah.
Right. John. So Watermelon Shark is in the chat. Why don't you play the audio for them again?
Which audio?
Anything. Well, maybe not the. Oh my god. No. How about your Tetris?
Alright. Tetris.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of disabled a whole bunch of stuff. Okay,
Right.
let me just do this.
So you were showing just now how you converted the MP3 file to. Wait, hang on. Alright, there you go. So this is your little Tetris project, right?
Yep.
And now you're
Yeah,
focusing
so,
on the audio aspect of
Yeah.
of your game, yeah.
Yeah. So I put in some music from our game Space Jacked into this little thing, just as like a kind of a proof of concept. I haven't got the looping down perfectly yet. If you hear the looping, there's a bit of a weird. You can tell where the loop happens.
I can tell.
Yeah,
But why would that happen though?
Why would that happen?
Is it a hardware limitation?
It's not a hardware limitation. Because there's this thing where so basically I mentioned that I led the system to a direct memory access copy of the wave data over to the sound channel, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, this system it just does exactly as it's told. It says you tell it copy memory from this location from A to B, and it just copies.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't know when to stop. It doesn't know when to reset or anything. So once it reaches the end of the wave data, it just keeps going, and I need to figure out like the number of samples I've played, and then I can tell the timer to reset and then start playing from the start again or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that explains why there is this something off while looping, right, at the end of the audio clip.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then so there's this other issue, which is that the counter that I use for telling me when to restart the playing,
Right.
the counter is a 16-bit integer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at the Metalius music, that music is from our minigame Metalius.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, this OGG file, or rather this wave data, is 66814 samples long.
Right.
Yeah. My counter is only 16 bits, which
Your
gives me a maximum of the counter I use to tell how many samples have been played.
Right.
Yeah. So the counter is 655. The maximum you can go is like 65535.
Oh.
So yeah, I wrote some logic to to get around this, but apparently it doesn't work.
But what's
My logic is
the
bot.
why that limitation? Why can't you just use more bytes to store the value?
Oh, that counter is actually an internal timer. I'm using one of the GBA's own timers to
Ah,
count the number of samples that have been played.
I see.
Yeah, unfortunately, unfortunately,
You still have to figure out the
bought-
logic for that, right?
Yeah, so I had like some logic somewhere sitting somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's here. That says if you have a sample, so the samples played is larger than. So I use this is a 32-bit integer to count. The internal counter for the timer is only 16-bit, so I need to sort of like count up to 65535, and then you still have some more to play. Then I'll switch to the next thing to play. But I kind of forgot to tell it to switch to the second chunk of music play. You can imagine my music file is 66814 samples long.
Right.
So I will make the thing count until 65535 samples.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll tell it, okay, now play the part that's after 65535. And then once I reach the end of that small chunk, I'll tell it, now start from the beginning again. Except that I forgot to tell it to start
There's
from
still
the beginning.
there. Ah, I see. Hmm.
Yeah. In fact, I think the way I did it, the moment it reached 65535, I tell it to start from the beginning. I think that's the bug right now.
Okay.
All this code is to reset the thing, except that I want it to continue playing until. Oh yeah, I think. My problem here is that I forgot to tell it to not restart at the 65535 mark. It's now restarting at the 65535 mark.
So you're supposed to keep playing the remaining samples, right?
Yeah, I'm supposed to keep playing.
Right. That explains why it starts to it seems to loop prematurely.
Yeah. So I need to probably do something like over here, I think. I need to put this chunk, which is to kind of tell the thing to restart.
Right.
I think.
Live
Maybe.
coding. What can go wrong?
Let's see if it works.
Where's your music, John? You broke it. You broke it in front of everyone, John.
I cry every time. I cry every time.
Yeah, John, can you explain what happened? There was a bug, right? What was the bug? So the music just stopped playing. Yeah.
Yeah. So this thing I call timer one handler. It handles the timer interrupts. So once the timer reaches a certain number, it will call this callback.
Right.
And in this callback, I tell it to stop the memory transfer all the time.
You call it. So you're stopping the music all the time instead of playing it?
Yeah. So I stop it. Then to get it to start again, I'll run this chunk of code.
Right. But it didn't
So
work.
previously it would. Yeah. So previously, it was always looping prematurely because I would stop it and say restart, stop, restart once it reaches the 65535 mark.
Right.
Right? And now so this is the code here that stops it. And this is the code that's supposed to run when it reaches the full length of the audio clip.
Right.
And right now it never reaches the full length of the audio clip because it always restarts at the 65535 mark.
Okay. Well, I guess you'll have to look into that then.
Yeah,
That's cool.
dang it.
That's cool. So you have
So,
shown
yeah.
us your command line tool, right? And you have shown us like some of the code, the refactoring you've done for your audio. Is there other stuff you want to talk about?
I have some stuff, but it's not going to be very graphical. There's no graphics involved.
Okay.
So something was nagging me over the week. It's basically I wanted to create a compile time tweening library thing.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's this library that I like very much. It's called Tweeny. I really like the syntax because you can say stuff like, I hope you can see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so stuff over here like, oh, Tweeny, tween from 0 to 100 for duration of 1000, up to you, milliseconds if you want.
Okay.
And then via some kind of tweening, some kind of easing method.
Right.
But the thing is, this code kind of relies on vectors, the std vector in the C++ library,
Mm-hmm.
which does dynamic allocation and all that. And until we can get a const expression, const expr vector implementation, this is not going to fly for me because I don't want to really use dynamic annotation so much on my GBA.
Okay.
So I've been experimenting, playing around with some compile time, like tweening library, like define the structure for a tween at compile time
Right.
rather than at runtime. Yeah. So I had two different implementations. The first one was, in both implementations, it's still a recursive kind of template definition. So basically, this is the main chunk of the tweening code of my first implementation. So
Okay.
basically, I'm relying on variadic templates.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can, let me just so that you can, where is it? Where's my demo? So test one, my demo is test one over here.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can define the tween in this form. Say it's a tween that does a linear easing followed by a holding the value, some value for some time,
Right.
followed by another linear easing.
Okay.
Yeah. And unfortunately, wait, this is weird. All right. So in this format, all the parameters have to be defined at compile time.
Right.
So that's why you can see like this is my starting value, this is my ending value, and this is the duration. Unfortunately, it turns out that in C++, even in C++ 17, you cannot actually put a float variable in your template parameter.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can say like a type is float. That's perfectly fine, but you cannot put something like 1.f here.
What's the reason
This
for
is
that?
completely great. What is the reason for that? I'm not too sure, but I think it's something along the lines of there's no way to guarantee a specific representation. You might have different floating point representations or something like that. I have no idea.
I see.
I need to go and read up some more.
Ah.
But that's okay. I can live with that. I can make my duration like milliseconds and then just specify a huger number or something like that, right?
Right. That's true.
So that's not too big of an issue. The bigger issue for me is I cannot put vec2 like that, where my vec2 class is my 2D vector class. Like, cannot put a vec2. I mean, I can put a vec2. That's fine. but I cannot put this as a constant time vec2 thing. I cannot do this.
Okay.
It doesn't allow me to put in my my compile time constants like that. So I had to throw this. Yeah, I had to throw this implementation out the window.
Can we take a look at linear easing?
Okay. Ta-da! Over here.
Right. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Why do you want to get it?
No, it's just curious, right? How the implementation is like. Okay.
So I mean, there are many different ways of writing it. This was just a test thing. I don't think this is the best way of doing it. But it's the easiest one I can think of mathematically.
Right. I mean, this is fine, right? Yeah.
Some people might say this is not the best way of doing it, but anyway. Yeah. So anyway, I scrapped this whole thing. This was my version 1 of the tweening library.
Right.
My version 2 allows you to define the parameters at. So it's no longer how do you say? It's no longer a compile time thing. Maybe you could turn it into a const expression thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, so now in my second version, I can specify the tween in this form. So it says make tween. I'm tweening an int. I'm tweening integers with a duration type of integers. I can say like tween from 10. In this line, it's tween from 10 to 20 linearly over a duration of 10, say, seconds or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, and this one is like that. And what is more interesting is that with this I can say, using my vector type, I can say tween from 1 to 10 100 over the course of 1 second.
Yes.
Linearly, and then holds with a value of 30, 40 for 1 second before tweening again from 11 and 12 to 15 and 17 over 1 second. Yeah, and so I can compile this.
John, can you tell I have some trouble following?
It's a tweening library. It allows you to tween stuff.
Right. Yeah. I'll be honest. I have not done, what do you call that, variadic template classes.
Templates.
Yeah, I have not actually done that.
It's fine. This is my first time doing it too. But yeah, so it kind of works. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at the output, it tweens from 1 to 10 100 over, like, from 0 you hit 0.25 is this how it looks like, 0.5 is how it looks like, and so on. And it holds 30, 40 for 1 second, and then it tweens from another set of values onwards.
Okay.
But yeah, the fun part is just making the variadic templates work. In this case, it's a recursive template definition.
Right, which looks nuts, man.
It does. I'm not sure if this is the best way of doing it.
It works.
Yeah, it works. It works for me. That's all I needed to do. For people who are writing the actual libraries that they want other people to use, they usually put in a whole ton of stuff in there, so to make sure that you use the correct types and all that.
Right.
I think it just makes everything look a lot more complicated. There's a lot more angle brackets, a lot more dots.
Right. But your implementation does make the assumption that the value type and duration type is implemented, right?
Yes, it makes the assumption that you have a value type, a duration type in the easing function.
Right.
Over here, like you can see, my weight has this, and it also makes the assumption that you have a duration and a value exposed, and you also have a tween function that takes in the duration.
Right.
The current t, basically.
Okay.
And then the implementation is recursive as well.
Okay.
Hopefully with modern compiler set on full optimization on it will compile this down nicely.
Right.
I don't know if it actually still uses like recursive functions in the
Can we
implementation.
Can you explain line 129? How does the const explorer work here?
Okay, so there's this operator, a new operator introduced in C++11, I think, called size of. So if you look at how easing was defined as a
parameter pack. Is it?
yeah, a parameter pack, right?
Right.
So it takes all the extra stuff and then lumps it together, and so that's what this size of dot 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 does. It tells you how many items there are in that parameter pack.
Yes. Just the number
So
of
in this
items, not the size of the data type or not.
Not the size of the data. It just tells you how many items there are in that parameter pack.
Okay.
So one of the newer syntax you can see is the if context over here. So basically, it's a compile time. You can think of it as like if, like a hash defined if else blah blah blah, and you can think of it this way
Okay.
because it's all evaluated at compile time, right?
Right, but
So basically what I'm
what's
saying,
the okay, but you can do it without the need for macros.
yeah.
Okay.
And what's the point of this? The point of this is such that if I'm at the base case, or if I'm at a case where I don't have any more template parameters already, over here, I'm saying that this is empty, right? So
Yeah.
it's just tween. I'm only at one easing left. So
Yeah.
it's my last easing to do.
Oh, it's a base case
or
of your recursive implementation.
Yeah.
I see.
So like here, this is in the case where there's still more parameters. Then I will just look at my current duration. If my t is less than current duration, then I'll just use my current easing function.
Yes.
If my t is more than the duration, my current easing's duration, then I'll just do a t minus this duration, and I'll pass it on to the next tween. I go to the parent.
Right.
I go to the parent class, tell it, oh, now it's time for your turn to do the tween. Yeah. And so if I'm at a base case where this is 0, where size of easing is 0, I'll just return my current tween, my current easing's tween. I don't care whether you exceed or not. Just continue doing your tween.
So something I don't understand is if this function here, right? Wait, it's a function, right? It's a function, yes. But if it's done at the compile time, what does it mean for, like, how do I put it? Do you actually have two versions of this function?
Yes, there is. Well, I mean, kind of. It's for this class. You can think of it as in this case, the class. Let's say if I'm at the instance where there's only one easing left, right?
Yeah.
Then it would look like this. If I only have one easing left.
Right. I forget. It's actually its own type, right? Yeah. Right. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Case.
How much? How do I put it? Just how many classes do you actually generate with this?
As many as the easings that you specify in the tween.
So if you put like 5 arguments in there, right? Then that essentially is 5 classes being compiled.
That is correct. In fact, there's actually one more. Because there's the empty one.
I see. Wait, why do you have an empty one?
Oh, that's the base case.
I see.
I don't know how to specify anything else
Ah.
because I'm not entirely sure about the variadic template syntax. So the easiest way for me was just okay, base case is empty, right? Then,
Understood. So it doesn't do anything.
When it's Yeah, but when it's empty, I don't want it to have a tween function. If
Right.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Which is why I had to do this if context.
I see.
If I could say, like, if I had a way of just saying that, oh, now it's up to this is the last one, then no more.
You think there is a way? You think there is
there is a way to do it.
There is.
Yeah.
I see.
Probably.
That's very cool. Hang on, one more thing. I'm not sure. I don't really catch it here. But how do you refer to the individual arguments within the parameter pack?
Individual arguments within the parameter pack?
Right. Like you can put in like however many arguments, right? Then how do you refer to them one by one? I'm not quite sure if I missed it.
You can't.
What? You can't?
You can't like individually refer to them one by one.
You cannot.
But
Oh.
you can. Yeah, but you can. What you can do is you can do a parameter pack expansion.
Uh-huh.
So in this case, this is calling the parent constructor, right?
Yes.
In this case, you would imagine it to be parent, and then the compiler will automatically expand this out to be easing 2, easing 3, easing 4, like that.
Yes.
For you, if you had 2, 3, 4 in the extra stuff here.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the compiler will do the expansion for you. If you did something like say like this, the compiler will automatically generate for you an easing 2 and easing 3 and so on, easing 4, like that.
Okay.
So whatever you do, right? Whatever you do, like if you said like if you said something like absolute value, right?
Yeah.
It will do exactly that. Absolute value of this, absolute value of that. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so. I think so. Well, how would you go about, like, say for example you want to sum an arbitrary number of arguments, then how would that be done then?
Oh.
Right, if you cannot refer to them by that, if there isn't like an identifier to pick individual arguments.
Right. So in that case, you would probably have a function that looks like this: template, params.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Type name, params. Let's call it int my sum. And then you do params dot params, right?
Yeah.
Think something like that.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
And you say there's no
you
way to
probably do like that.
refer to them individually, right?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, you can't do that. Anyway, yeah, there's no way of you doing that. So what you do is you probably do like return my sum. You do like. Well, if you had some like other function to help you do it, you do like programs. But in this case, okay, so you can't do that. What you do is you do like we have like a name param. You have a param p1, and you have the rest of the params. You do p1 plus my sum of params. Something like that.
So
Does that make sense?
right, so it has to be done in a recursive fashion. But of course, all of this
it has to be done.
will just generate. Oh, yeah, and now I'm curious, how would the code look like, right, when you generate it?
How would the code look like if you generate it?
Like when you compile it, right? Like it's how much actually exactly is going on behind the scene?
Right. So the compiler will turn this into a recursive. Will generate a whole bunch of functions out for you.
So does that
if-
mean? Oh, sorry. Yes.
Or if it's smart, if you turn on optimizations, and if it's smart, it might just put them all together for you.
Right. Otherwise, you might end up with five of this function with different parameter counts. Is that it?
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, but it's cool, right? It's not like you're doing recursion in runtime, which would have a cost, right? But here the cost is in your compile time. Is that it?
Yeah, but if you don't turn on optimizations, it could still be a recursive thing, and so the cost will still be.
It will still be a
will still be
recursive
there.
thing. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it'll
not
still be a
good.
recursive thing, right? Because you call the function here, right? Which is why you might want to do something like inline or whatever. And tell the compiler, please.
I see.
The really nice thing is if you do it as a constant expression, then the compiler can just compute the value for you at runtime if you had a constant expression int
Okay.
10 or whatever 20.
So does that mean that if there isn't any any other area in the code that makes a call to my sum, right, then my sum would not even be, in the binary of your program, of your executable.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So as long as you don't call it, the compiler should know how to remove unused code if you turn on at least one level of optimization.
Right. So basically, that one particular instance of my sum, since you specify that it's a const explorer, it would just be a number, right, in the end, in the binary.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Oh, hopefully.
So if
yeah, I think if you
say again.
Oh, if it's a const explorer variable, then yeah, the compiler will try to will generate a constant value for you. Or if you can't do that, it will error out for you. If you label a function as const explorer, there is a chance that the value basically what I'm saying is if I say int v equals to this, right? If I say this without const explorer here, I can use the function. It's just that if I were to put like variables here, right, runtime variables here, right, then obviously the compiler will have to just write code that calls a function at runtime, right?
Right.
You call a function at runtime. But if you were to give it all constant values, const explorer values, maybe 10, 10, 10, whatever, right? Then yeah, the compiler will try to will give you a constant value that will put into V at compile time. And if it cannot do that at compile time, it will error out. It will just tell you cannot do that.
I see.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
This is how it works.
Yeah. So I guess I have to look up how to do this at some point. I have to learn. What would you suggest? How would I go about learning this veridic templates?
That's a good question.
Well, I mean, how do you go about starting it?
You have to find how do you go about starting it. You have to find a reason to do it.
Right, and your reason is you needed to do something crazy in GBA.
My reason is I want to define my tweening stuff on the GBA.
Right.
Without having to dynamically allocate stuff. So I don't want to rely on vector and all that if I don't really need to.
Your concern is with performance, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to have to view and delete on the system.
Right.
I don't want to have to write my own allocator.
Right.
Yeah. So if you know the values that you need at compile time, then there should be no need for you to dynamically allocate stuff. That's my reasoning.
Right.
So I wrote this stuff. I haven't used it yet, just as a proof of concept, just to show that it can sort of be done.
Yeah, seems like it's working.
I think so. Yeah, there's that.
So there's that. Is that?
Yeah, that's that.
That's very cool, John.
Yeah.
I will. I might actually go back and look through the video again. This video, right? Just to see what I missed. I don't think I got like all of it. Maybe I got like 50 to 60%.
I wasn't explaining it very well.
No, that's cool. I mean, I have never done veridic templates before, so there's a bit of reading up I have to do. But that's very cool, John. It's very cool.
I'm still not 100% sure on a lot of this stuff as well. So you can see that even just now when I was writing that my sum function, I got the syntax wrong, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get it to be correct.
Right. No, but it's still cool. I hope you will share more of your template meta programming stuff. Oh. So do you have what do you intend to do next? Testing, John, I'm losing you, John. John, I'm losing you. Yeah, I hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it was lagging for a bit.
Okay.
Anyway, I've been going through a tutorial that talks about making your own audio mixer for the Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
So next step is to do some audio mixing on the GBA. Right now, the music is the only thing. Yeah, I play some notes I play some sound when the Tetris piece locks into place, and I play music. That's about it. I want to be able to play some mod files, something, because right now the music that I put in is really huge.
Yes.
And the whole thing cannot fit into multi-boot, which is the thing I need in order for me to connect to my to the
GBA.
or GBA.
Yeah. You bought the GBA. Okay.
Yeah. So I can't really test it out because I don't have the flash card.
Are you going to define your
I
own
need to
format, or are you going to use an existing format?
An existing format. I'll just follow the tutorial over here and get it done.
Oh, I see.
And
It's very
write it in modern C++, at least I hope. Yeah.
Very nice, John. Very
So,
nice.
Yeah. Next week, more music in the GBA, hopefully.
More music. Okay, for the third week in a row, music.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Does that mean it's my turn? Okay, my turn. Just a moment, John. I want to find where my pen is. Where's my pen? Oh yeah, I found it.
Did you just say that word?
What? What word?
No, never mind.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen with you.
Yeah.
So Ixik is in the chat. He's been commenting quite a bit. So while listening to you talk about your C++ code, he's saying stuff like dog dev slowly regrets becoming dev. So I think he's projecting what he's feeling when you talk about your code onto me. Okay, John. Now let me show you what I have. Oh, what did I show you last week?
What did you show me?
Yeah.
You showed me the cannon.
Oh, right. I regret to say that I'm still on the cannon.
You talked about doing some UI stuff. I think.
UI stuff, eh?
You
No, there's one issue. There's one.
To work on it.
Yeah, but I think there was a big issue with the save data, right, last week.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I went about fixing it. Okay, so let me just explain. So Ixik say what am I making? I'll just do a quick explanation of what I'm making. I'm making a one-button platformer, so I intend to release it this year. Hopefully by the end of March, I hope. And the game is very simple. It's a one-button platformer, and the goal is to play to reach the door, right? In each level, just with one button. So you jump. Crap. There you go. It's a simple level. Of course, then there are harder levels, like this one. So this one has like portals, right? It allows you to warp through the side of the screen. Right. So that's one example. You can collect the keys, which will reveal the door. Oh no, I'm dead. Okay, anyways, I'm not playing this seriously, but last week I was showing John this. So John, maybe I'll talk about the cannon first, and then I'll go into the save data issue, right? Ixik says better than Mario confirm. Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. But anyways, I'm working on a new mechanic, right? Which is what do you call this? A cannon. So basically, when you jump inside the cannon, you will have to blast yourself out of the cannon at the right moment in time. So it's all very timing based. So John, I'm sure you noticed by now something new here, right?
The arrow.
Yeah, I added the arrow. I do want to highlight that this arrow is a work in progress. It's not finalized. It's not supposed to be this fat. But from here, right, are you able to tell what is new about this arrow?
What is new? Well, the whole arrow is new. If that's what you
Well, it's not just that, right? I mean, I have done the so basically I've talked about my implementation of a tau and animating striped lines, right?
yeah.
Right. So it looks like the exact same implementation, but there's one thing that's different.
Right, it fades out into the distance.
Yeah, it fades out into the distance. Exactly. And so while I was doing this, I was like, I don't want it to end abruptly. It looks very ugly, right? So then, I mean, how would I go about fading it out? So I guess one way would be that I fade it out by the distance from the source, right? So this, if the hang on, let me bring out. If I were to, I mean, if I can do it like this, right? So this is my cannon starting position, and then basically I draw this chord, right? This box here that has all these lines. So oops, I can't draw lines. Right, and this is the ending position. So I think intuitively we will say, hey, I want to fade out by the distance from the starting point to the ending point, right? So the more it stretches, the more fade out it becomes until it eventually becomes completely transparent. But if I were to do this, right? If I were to just do this naively, and what will happen is that I may end up, right, with something like this. If you get what I'm saying. So so then this part is the faded out part. Did you get what I mean? Like I will get an arrow, right? So basically it's supposed the pattern is supposed to be like a bunch of arrows like that. Right? And don't you think there is something that is very ugly, right? About about a single arrow not having the same shade throughout, right? So I wanted to fix this issue, right? I think it's really ugly for an arrow to only be like half rendered instead of like fully rendered. So then the solution then would be to fade out individual tiles. So basically, this is my tile, right? This is 1 arrow, 2 arrow, 3 arrow, 4 arrow. When I set the alpha value, right, this one would be fully visible, like opaque, right? And then the last one would be completely transparent, and each tile shares a singular alpha value. Right? Yeah, so so then basically I did some math to do this. So let me just go and show you what I have. So I work in a test scene, right? This is test 00, which is the test scene for me to debug stuff. So it took me a while, take some trial and error to test this thing. So this is how it looks, and how do I put it? I guess remember. Hang on. So John, I did not rehearse my explanation, so it's going to sound rather well, not great. But do you remember me mentioning that while I'm doing my calculations, right, for the tiling, I have an intermediate space where if I have 3 tiles, right, I essentially have a space that goes like this.
Yeah.
Right. So I have this space, and since I have this number, it's easy for me to then use these values to help me calculate the alpha value per tile. Right. Because what would be the position of this x according to this scale? It would be 1.5, right? And if it is 1.5, then I will just say like I will just ignore the fractional value. So in the past, I think my implementation I was talking about how the fractional part can help me identify the actual UV to use. Am I right? But if I were to use the integer part, then I can actually figure out what the shading should be. Would that make sense? It would make sense, right?
Yeah.
because if this whole thing is like, if I want this to be 1, right, when it comes to like in a normalized space, then if this starts off at 1 fully opaque and this is like fully transparent, then we would know, we know for a fact that this would be 0.5, right? Yeah. So we can calculate this from number of tiles and from the integer value of the current pixel. Okay, so then we have that, right? And then the difficult part then, well, it's actually once I've done it, it seems to not be so difficult. But at first I have trouble keep making it animate, right? Because if you notice, right, the according to this explanation, my alpha value is fixed at each tile position, right? This is tile 0, tile 1, tile 2. Now it's fixed, and when it is animating, I have the same problem again. I have one arrow sharing 2 shades. So what do you think can be done, right? So I've fixed it already. But do you want to like take a guess?
You would subtract an offset, add or subtract an offset to your x, your u coordinate, and then do the same thing again.
Something like that.
Previously mentioned.
Something like that. Of course, this offset, right, is determined by the elapsed time. So if you think about it this way, if the elapse is 1, right, then basically I'm going from this tile to this tile. So then I know for a fact what alpha value it should be, right, based on this one discrete tile movement. But of course, it's not discrete. In fact, it move across smoothly, right, from tile to tile. Then in order to do that, is basically I take the alpha value tied to a particular tile, and then interpolate it, or rather just add it by the fractional portion of elapse. Yeah, something like that. But it's a little bit more than that, because first and foremost I need to identify the correct tile. Yeah. So it's a little bit of trial and error here and there, but if you take a look at the code, you will see that it's it didn't take too much changes. Hang on, where's my shader? Oh no, where's my shader? There we go. Right, so you can see that I have this part here. You notice? Yeah. So basically that helps, right? So time frac is I use it here and here. So this part helps with the interpolation from between 2 different alpha values. Something like that. I'm sure I'm not explaining it super well, but generally it's like that. So I went about implementing this just mostly based on my intuition and by trial and error. Yeah.
It works.
It works. Yeah, it works. Yeah, there you go. Now,
nice.
While working on this, right, I actually I ran into some very funny issue. Let me show you something, John. And that's what makes shaders so fun, right? Like, sometimes you accidentally chance upon a effect that it's a complete accident, right? It's a bug, but it looks interesting. So let me run this. Oh, hang on. Let me run this in VM. I don't want to run it in YYC. YYC will take too long to compile. Ixix says what? Slowly dying inside because no understand code. Hey, no worries. We've been doing this for years, incrementally over time. Yeah. So it's all about practice, right? Yes, John, you think?
Just look at the pretty graphics.
Look at the pretty graphics. Sorry, where was I? Where was I going? Yes. Do you see this, John?
Oh,
Whoa!
it's wappy.
It's
Pretty
wappy.
cool.
It's wappy. So I had this bug actually. So this bug has been around for a long time, but we don't see it because of the I put some graphics here, right, and it blocks the end point, so we don't ever see it. But the problem is, right, one of the thing that makes me think I might have a bug in my code, right, was this. You know how I mentioned, right, my intention is to tile it like this, and so
Yeah.
just based on this alone, right, there should never be any overlap between the two tiles. Am I right?
Mm.
And yet, I saw in one particular, like when I was testing the Canon, right, I noticed the arrow, right, like overlapping just very slightly, like that. And I was like, what is this? Like how can that be possible? I thought it was a floating point error. It turns out it's error with my code, right? So essentially the interpolation, right? Like no matter where you are, right? Whether you're here or here, right? The interpolation of the UV, right, from left to right. This is left. This is right. The interpolation of the UV from left to right is determined by the projected distance here, right? So it should be this, right? It should share the same UV for this one as other than the y component of the UV coordinate, right? The x component should be here. It's based on this. But instead of using the projected distance, I use the Euclidean distance here, the actual distance, which means that my UV, the x component, is off. Yeah, so basically I'm picking at a slightly offset position, right? From like instead of like picking the correct position, I'm picking like slightly forward if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and that caused this weird issue. And yeah. And seeing this, you can actually have more fun with it. I'm like, hey, what if, right? What if I don't want the interpolation, like of the value of t, right? I don't want it to be linear. Let's do something with it. So t here, right? Is the range is from 0 all the way to the number of tiles at this moment. Oh, why do I have a space here?
It's supposed to be
Yeah. Careless. I got careless. But it's fun to work on this.
Fun with shaders.
Fun with
Shaders
shaders.
are always fun. When you mess up and then you see something interesting, that's the fun part.
Exactly, John. Okay. Ignore this very broken thing. Woo!
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so I have this weird effect, and I think if we make it stretch longer, it will look even better, or rather even weirder. Yeah,
It
yeah.
almost looks like a perspective kind of thing. It looks like it's going into the screen.
Oh, you're right.
Rotating around
You're
something.
right. The fading helps with that also, right? Yeah. Yeah. This gives me some idea, right? Like, just we can play around with some visual effects. Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay, that brings us to the next part. So this is my little shader adventure, UV manipulation. I will move on to the save data, right? Which was the problem that we talked about last week. Hang on, let me charge my iPad a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Ixik says, where's Jump Joboa 2? No, Jump Joboa 1 is not even out yet. I'm still working on the first one. It's not out. But let me restart it. Restart all. Oh, of course. It's okay, I don't need to rerun it. I'll just do this. So everything is broken. Do you see the aliasing effect, John? That was weird. Anyways, so we were saying how when you collect a collectible, it should stay saved, right? Like the state is important. We have to make sure that you are unable to collect items that you have already collected. And last week, I mentioned how I used I saved the ID, right? The handler, the runtime generated handler, right? And there is a problem with that. And that is that each time you run the game, or maybe when you compile the game, there isn't any guarantee that you will get back the same ID.
Handle.
Yeah, the same handler for each of this collectible. Now it makes me kind of curious how the handler is generated, because it still seems to work more than half the time, right? So what exactly is the logic there? Yeah. But in any case, we were talking about how to possibly fix this issue, and you pointed out, right, that there is a what was that again? There is a unique identifier, right? Per
Instance name.
Yeah, an instance name, right? Per instance, there is a unique name here, right? And I said that I will look into how to get this name from within GameMaker, like using GML. And do you think there is a way to do it?
Guess not.
Guess not. Yeah, there isn't. In fact, this identifier, right? It's a constant. Like for example, check this out. So this is instance, right? Wait, this is a shader. Let me just go to any part of the code, right? You see this instance underscore 581 e. You see that? So basically,
Nice.
you can actually do a check like this. So ID, right, can so how do I put it? So this stores the handler, the runtime handler. And so it's not a constant. I shouldn't call it a constant, but it stores the runtime handler. And this also stores the runtime handler. So you can actually check if an object is this particular instance by doing this check. Unfortunately, I cannot do that, right? I'm not able to do that. There isn't a way to grab this particular name from within GML itself. So what ended up happening is I have to write a C# script, right? Once again, right, the C# script go through every single level file. All of these level, they are JSON file, as we have talked about before, and go through them, identify the unique instance name for each collectible in each level, and from there, I then generate this. I generated this file. There you go. So it looks horrific, but thankfully I don't have to type everything. Right, it's generated. Look at that, John. So terrible. Yeah, but so what happens now is for every level, if you take a look closely, for every level, right? So this is a map. For every level, I have an array of instances, and I store pairs, right? A pair, one for the ID, no, one for the whatever you call this, the handler. So what? The identifier, right? Okay, and the other for the. Sorry, John, I can't really hear you. Did you say something?
Oh, no. You just said yeah.
I see. Right, and then the other for the identifier in string form, right? Because I need to save this. So basically when I collect an item, right, I scan through the array, right, and find which item I'm actually collecting, right, by looking through the entire array and comparing this with the ID, right? And then once I identify it, I get the name, I write it to the file. So just a moment. Let me see if I can find the save file. So the save file is under app data. It's automatically saved there. App data. So I'm basically just browsing my folder on another monitor. If you just give me one short moment. One button platformer. There you go. Where is it? There we go. So this, please ignore all of this. This is the one. Why is this? I'm curious why this is. This is
probably the
old file.
Old data.
Yeah, probably old data. You're right. Okay, but in any case, right? This is the ID. Right, I'm saving it here, and then same thing when loading the file. Right, I just run through this thing and see if the current loaded level. Go through each of the collectible in the current loaded level and compare and see if they have already been collected, and I'll change the state accordingly. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah. So now every time I make a new level, I have to run the script. Yeah, unfortunate.
Anytime you add or delete the instances.
Exactly.
You have to.
Exactly.
Oh no.
Yeah. But I imagine all of these ID are unique, right? They have to be unique, right? Like there shouldn't be any overlap between levels, so I think it should be fairly safe. Yeah. Okay. I think
even if they weren't unique, they have to at least be unique within the room. Right?
They have to be at least what?
So, unique within the room.
Oh, within the room. Yes, you're right. They have to be unique within the room.
That's all that matters, right?
That is true, John. That is true. So, John, I have really wanted to make a mobile build. In fact, originally my plan was to release a mobile alpha testing build by the end of the month, which is today. But unfortunately, because of my part-time work commitment, I'm not able to hit the milestone. So I'll probably need like 2 more weeks to get that ready, and I can let you play test the game. Awesome. So what do you think I should work on next? I have actually no idea at this point.
Audio, sound effects.
Sound effects, yeah. I'm waiting for my composer to hand me the music. That's one thing. But the truth of the matter is because how do I put it? When you do sound effects, right? It's interesting to listen to you talk about it because you go into like very like hardware related stuff, right? For mine, I'm just importing a music file and then calling a function on it. So that's really nothing much for me to talk about.
No. Well, maybe not music, right? But the sound effects itself, like with Sear Scramblers, you change the frequency, the pitch of the effect.
That is true. That is true. Stuff, right? That's true. Of course, then that is more of a design discussion, right? If I were to talk about that, because the frequency, I am not modifying the samples themselves, right? It's GameMaker that's doing that for me. So I'm just calling a function.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess
it's a design thing, right? that's
right.
What
you're
you do best.
Well, you're much too kind, John. Okay. Let me think. So one thing I want to do is I want to fix up the graphics for the cannon. Like basically the arrow. The arrow currently they are a work in progress. It's not how I want it to look. It's here, right? 37. Right? It's not how I actually want it to look. Oh my god. Oh, it's still the modified shader file. That's why.
Hey, this is actually pretty okay.
You think it's pretty okay? I think maybe it looks okay if it's skinnier, right? It's a bit too fat.
Yeah. It's a bit too fat.
Okay, so Ixing asks, is there gonna be a hard level, quote unquote, boss level? My previous game, Serious Scramblers, had a boss level that took me like 2 months to make. I'm thinking about it. In fact, I asked my composer to make a boss level music. But I'm not 100% committed to making a boss level yet. Yeah. Yeah, so for now, maybe, I can only say like maybe I will have a boss level. What do you think, John? Should I have a boss level?
That would be an interesting thing.
It'll be an interesting thing.
It doesn't have to be too different from your existing level. Like the level with a lot of the enemies walking around. I think that already sort of could be inspiration for a
Boss level.
hard boss level kind of thing.
I see. So basically, like one enemy and some minions around, is it?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. You know, like what scares me about making a boss level, aside from like, so basically making boss level, sometimes it can take out a lot of time, right?
Yes.
And so taking that into consideration, like say for Serious Scramblers, I mean I love that I made the boss level, right? I think the boss makes up for a lot of Serious Scramblers' personality, right, as a gamer, right? But I think less than 10% of the people actually got to a boss. So then at what point do I say like, is this worth doing?
Yeah.
Because the game is so difficult, right? Like Serious Scramblers, it's quite difficult, right?
Yeah.
For the average player. So a lot of them don't actually reach the boss. You know, like, I think a lot of people died at like level 16 and be like, oh, I'm stuck here for too long, let me move on to another game. So I guess maybe a lot of it is my fault for not like offering players an alternative or for not making it more accessible, maybe. Yeah, I have to think about that. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons why for this game, right? The progression is not 100% linear. You know what I mean, John? Like you can unlock levels without completing everything in the world.
Right.
Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why I'm doing that for Jump Joboa. Whereas in Serious Scramblers, it's 100% linear, right? If you don't beat the level, you're stuck forever. Yeah.
Right.
So okay.
And I imagine like if you were to replicate some kind of big boss fight, if you were to implement some kind of big boss fight, it would be too much of a change of the gameplay.
Too much of a departure, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Serious Scramblers boss fight?
It's tough. I think actually it's the lead up to the boss that is tough.
Right. But does the boss still feel like it's in the same game, or is it too much of a departure?
It does.
It does feel, because you're still
still
moving
feels
from
like
platform to platform, right?
Yeah. The gameplay, the mechanics you are doing are exactly the same. Right? It's just that you change a bit of your strategy for what platforms you're gonna jump on next.
Right. Right. So if I were to do a boss,
strategy, but same.
Same mechanics, basically still using the same skills we have been building up all this while, right?
Exactly.
Right. So if I were to make a boss for Jump Joboa, I imagine I'll have to keep that in mind as well. Yeah. That's a good one, John. That's a good one. You're still on for helping me name the levels, right?
Oh, sure.
Alright, man. Alright. Okay. So all I said was I will make the graphics for the cannon better. But at this point, I don't actually know what I want to work on next. Possibly more levels featuring the cannon. Possibly more levels featuring the cannon. That's one thing. Actually, on the side, right, I've been looking into neural network as well, like just for practice, right? And the fact that it's one of the topic for the upcoming lessons in school. So I was working on something, right? I wanted to make a AI to learn Knife Hit. You know Knife Hit, the game? Knife Hit. Have you heard of it? So basically, Knife Hit is a game where you have a rotating.
The one where you throw the knife.
Yeah, you throw a knife like that, and then it will keep rotating, and then you're supposed to hit it as many times as possible without the knife like touching each other.
Okay, I don't know. I know another one where it's a knife that is you toss a knife and then you want it to land straight down or something like that.
It's not that one. So it's basically this one, right? You are supposed to, let's say you are given 10 knives,
Mm,
right? You're supposed to throw 10 knives onto this rotating log
I
without
see.
touching the knives. So basically your accuracy matters. So I wanted to write the AI, the neural network to train the program to play this game. So I wrote something, my first draft. It's not learning, it's completely random. Like sometimes it performs well, sometimes it doesn't. There isn't like this gradual improvement. So I feel like maybe my input layer is problematic, so I might have to change it. Or the way I go about doing genetic algorithm is wrong. Yeah, right. Uh,
Mm.
yeah. Basically, are you familiar with how a neural network works, John?
Roughly, just
Rough,
very basic.
roughly, right? So I think we have the input layer, right? Like each neuron, I mean each node represents some kind of input maybe on the screen, right? It's the positions of or an object, right? Or the user input, whatever. And then there are a lot of weights, right? So these are the weights, and basically it's essentially it's just a linear combination, right, leading up to this final output layer, right? And that's one thing. And for this game, right, I'm thinking of using a genetic algo to train to train the program so that they can find the best weights possible, right? So that it will, like, at the right point in time, right, the output layer, rather the output node, a single node, will light up and say, hey, throw the knife. Yeah, but at the moment my training program is not working. So I just thought like it would be interesting. Like if I can get it to work by next week, then I can maybe show. Hello, John.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think so. So basically, some levels for with the Canon, and if I have the time, right, I will try to get this to work. That's it for me. Do you want to do a recap, John? For your end?
Ah, right. So today I showed playing some audio, some music from one of our other games, and putting it on GBA. It kind of works, except there's a bug. Doesn't loop properly.
It's still
But
very
next
cool.
week I wanna help follow some tutorial I found on the net about implementing an audio mixer on the GBA. Yeah.
That's nice, John. Oh, would you be showing us more of the template stuff?
Oh yeah, I might actually make use of of the template of the tweening library.
Because there is a part of me that is curious, and I would like to learn more about what you can do with it. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. Then for my end, well, basically I'll make more levels featuring the Canon. Yeah, and if I can, I'll try to get my neural network working. For another, it's sort of like a project just for learning, right? Just for learning the neural network.
Nice.
Yeah. That's about it.
There'll be a lot to talk about that one.
If I get it to work. If I get it to work. Yeah. Okay. Shall we call it, John?
Yeah.
How long was this? I think we talked quite a bit for this one.
Yes, I think it's over 1 hour.
Oh, it's over 1 hour. It's the first time we went over 1 hour, John.
Is it?
I think so. I think the most was like 1 hour 5 minutes. Oh, well, that's still over 1 hour, but still, this is the longest. Yeah. Okay. Let's call it here, John. Okay. Hey everyone, thanks for what's that, John? Wait, hang on. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. We will continue our discussion next week, as we do every single week, and yeah, we hope to see you again soon. Right, John, roll the music. Okay, bye bye. Oh,
It's not. Oh,
stop!
it's the bug.
Ah, it's the bug, John.
It's the bug.
Ah. Okay, bye bye, bye bye.
Bye bye.